Great. Well, it's a great pleasure to be here in Hamburg. The paper, I think its central insight is to flip the conversation about globalization. For many years, there was a narrative or a myth even that globalization was always a win-win activity. And so by creating global economic networks, that would really weaken the role that states could play in statecraft. And what our paper does is it first shows that many economic networks are not flat and decentralized, but they have points of centralization in them. And that second, that states have woken up to this possibility and that they're using those centralized nodes for coercive ends. And I think that that's causing many policymakers and also business people to rethink the political risk involved in globalization. Yeah, so I think our advice for policymakers are first to recognize that this is a new type of coercion, and just like other forms of coercion, whether that's restricting market access or threatening military action, that there needs to be a set of rules of the road around when to use them. Because the risk is if you start to employ these, what we call willy-nilly, just to every problem, that you could see unintended consequences, and that might be escalation, miscalculation, overreaction, and all of those things I think could really have detrimental consequences for the global economy, but also security consequences. Sure. So I think in the short term, many of these key global economic networks are difficult to evade because they do have these kinds of oligopolistic or monopoly roles in the global economy. And so in those situations, states are willing to keep using them, or actors are able to keep using them, even though they present vulnerabilities. But what we are interested in are also the dynamic consequences. So over time, what will happen to these networks? And one of the things we're seeing are targeted states are starting to develop alternative hubs or alternative networks that they can use to at least mask themselves from US or European coercion. And so, for example, the Russian and Turkish, they've had a cooperative structure set up for payments between the two economies. And for us, that's not going to challenge the US dollar globally, but it does create a dark space that those states can use in order to evade US power. Yes. So I think one of the key takeaways from our argument is not that we should end globalization. I think we are strong believers that there are tremendous welfare benefits to having a global economy, but we do want to make the argument that it's naive to think that those do not come with any security risks. And so the challenge for policymakers and businesses is to maintain continued economic contact, but also to build in redundancies, trust mechanisms in order to manage these new security risks at the same time.